the Giants kicked Philly's ass on Thursday night. Brian Daboll was running around hugging people like a guy who just got pulled out of a burning building. Jackson Dart ran into the burning building, put Brian Daboll on his back, and, backdraft style carried him out of there. Brian Daboll is hugging and kissing everybody in sight because he knows, I think these guys just saved my job. Good Monday morning to everybody. Welcome to a new week of shows here at the Call Sheet Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Smith, here on the Fans First Sports Network. It is a rainy Monday here in southern New Jersey as the remnants of, I don't know what this is. Is it a tropical storm? Is it a leftover hurricane? Honestly, I haven't investigated the source of this weather. I can only tell you that the sea is angry, my friends, to quote the great George Costanza, like an old man trying to send back soup at a deli. I mean, the Atlantic Ocean is churning. The streets of my hometown here, Ocean City, New Jersey, a little flooded. I'm reading a book right now by Eric Larson called Isaac's Storm. I don't know if those of you may have read some Eric Larson books in the past. He's an historical writer, has written phenomenal books about the sinking of the Lusitania, the World's Fair in 1893 and the murders that were there. Just great stuff. And his book, Isaac's Storm, about the Galveston hurricane of 1900, the worst hurricane ever recorded, is fascinating. I got great respect for the weather. So it's been interesting. Walked up to the boardwalk and took a look at the ocean, and I have great respect for Mother Nature. This is a Monday morning Game Balls show. However, we are not here to talk about the weather. Monday morning Game Balls, and we're going to award Game Balls liberally. We're going to award them generously across the spectrum of football. I'm in a celebratory mood. Got the rare sweep this weekend. My son's 7th and 8th grade team, they won their game. The high school team where I'm coaching, Ocean City High School, we won our game. And then the team that I root for and cover, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they won their game. You get the rare sweep. That's only the second time it's happened this year, where all three of those teams have won on the same weekend. So let's celebrate and give out a bunch of game balls. We're going to give out a bunch of game balls. Hey, and let's start at the 7th and 8th grade level. Game ball to our quarterback on the Upper Township Indians, Anderson Wisniewski, son of the CEO, the head honcho here at Fans First, Ken Wisniewski. Anderson went 10 for 10 passing. 10 for 10 passing in that 7th and 8th grade game. It's hard to get a 7th and 8th grader to go 10 for 10 having a catch in warmups. That's not easy to do at that level. There's an awful lot that can go wrong at that level. You got to get the snap. Guy's got to block. The quarterback has to throw a good ball. The receiver has to catch it. Again, if you go 10 for 10 throwing the ball on air in warmups, that's impressive, much less to do it in a game. That included 3 touchdown passes, one of which was to my son. So anyway, shout out Anderson Wisniewski, game ball for your 10 for 10 perfect performance in that contest on Saturday night. But to the big guys. Well, actually, before we get to the big guys, let's award a college game ball too. We'll give one out at the college level. Let's give a game ball to head coach Curt Cignetti, Indiana Hoosiers, who has built that team into, I don't know if I want to say a powerhouse yet, but they're getting there. They are now a top 5 team. Arguably just had the biggest win in Indiana's football history, going on the road and winning at Oregon, at 3rd ranked undefeated Oregon. When you think Indiana University sports, you do not think football. I mean, that is a basketball school. You think Bob Knight and the Hoosiers and maybe the movie Hoosiers. I mean, there's just so much basketball history at that university. Football's just been an afterthought. Indiana forever was a Big Ten doormat. But Curt Cignetti arrived a couple years ago, and this is a guy who brought with him a history of turning around programs. His first head coaching job was at the other Indiana. Those of you who are not from the East Coast may not be aware that on the Division II level, there is an Indiana University of Pennsylvania, which has no affiliation to Indiana University in Indiana, IUP. Kirk Cignetti's first head coaching job was at IUP, where he inherited a struggling franchise, immediately turned it around, took them to the national playoffs 3 straight years, moved on to Elon University in North Carolina, did the same thing. Struggling Elon team, turned him into a playoff team, went to James Madison University, which at the time was a old 1AA school or what you call FCS school, and turned them into a powerhouse. They're now a D1 program, largely because of Kirk Cignetti, and then landed the head coaching job at Indiana. And all he's done since arriving there is go 17-2. Took the Hoosiers to the national playoff last year and then engineered a big upset of Oregon. Indiana football on the map. Game ball, Kirk Cignetti. But now to the NFL. Who are some of our game ball recipients who really stood out in the NFL over the weekend? Let's start with a name I'm sure you're going to know. Kimani Vidal. Kimani Vidal. All right, being sarcastic. That is probably a name you do not know. Let's do a quick multiple choice question. We'll see if you paid attention to last week's quiz. Kimani Vidal plays which of the following positions? A, offensive line. B, defensive line. C, running back. D, linebacker. Offensive line, defensive line, running back, linebacker. Answer is, well, if you remember back to last week's show, what did I say? After 30-some years as a teacher, I can tell you with great confidence, when in doubt, pick C in a multiple choice test. C, running back. Kimani Vidal, running back, Los Angeles Chargers, who on Sunday in LA's 29-27 win over the Miami Dolphins carried the ball 17 times for 122 yards and a touchdown. That is noteworthy because the Chargers have some high-profile running backs. They have Najee Harris, former first-round pick, who they signed as a free agent in the offseason from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have Omarion Hampton, their current first-round pick out of the 2025 draft. But both those guys are on the injured list. Neither one able to participate. The Chargers are want to be a run-heavy team under Jim Harbaugh. And so they called up Kimani Vidal, a 2024 6th-round draft pick who had been on their practice squad, elevated him to the active roster for their game against Miami, and he goes out and he runs for 122 yards and helps the Chargers to a victory. I love stories like that. I love people who take advantage of their opportunity when you get your shot and you're ready for it. Now, I don't know if this has any staying power. Will this be Kimani Vidal's one shining moment, so to speak, or is he going to give them a consistent rushing attack while Harris and Hampton are out? We shall see. But great job on Sunday, Kimani Vidal. Game ball number 1. Game ball number 2, the Carolina Panthers, making an appearance for 2 weeks in a row now on Monday morning game balls. Last week we gave a game ball to their running back, Rico Dowdle, for rushing for over 200 yards. Today we're going to give it to the whole team because the Panthers, by virtue of their win yesterday, are 3-3, which means that for the first time since the 2021 season, at any point in the year, they are 500. For the first time since the 2021 season, at any point in the year, they are 500. They have not been 500. They haven't even been 1-1. So they are 500 for the first time in 5 years. Another big day for Rico Dowdle, 183 rushing yards. He now has 473 yards from scrimmage the past 2 weeks. Bryce Young has thrown 5 touchdown passes overall the past 2 weeks. Probably his best 2-week stretch of play of his career. Dave Canales has that group playing good football. They are 500 and in a bad division. They're now second place. Tampa clearly the class of the division. Atlanta struggling. New Orleans not very good. Carolina, with a soft schedule, they got a chance to throw their hat into the playoff race. Game ball number 3, number 4, number whatever we're on. Seattle Seahawks travel staff. I couldn't think of who exactly to give a game ball to here because It's hard to say exactly who's responsible for this, so let's just give it to the travel staff. If you're unaware, NFL franchises have an entire staff of people whose job it is to make all of their arrangements for when they go on the road. It just doesn't magically happen that a team flies to an opposing city and shows up to play a football game. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that has to go into that, booking reservations for flights and for hotels and for chartering buses and shuttles and rides and food and accommodations and arrangements in some instances for family or privileged guests or things along those lines. You see the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, and there's Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark up there in the box seats. They have to accommodate them in some way, shape, or form when you have these VIPs. That was a home game, but, of course it happens on the road too. And the reason why we're giving a game ball to the Seattle Seahawks travel staff is they must be doing something right. They must be doing something that makes the Seahawks comfortable when they go on the road, because they are 3-0 on the road this year, and they are 10-1 on the road overall with Mike Macdonald as their head coach. 11 road games so far in Mike Macdonald's reign as their head coach, and they're 10-1, which includes a 20-12 win over Jacksonville yesterday in Jacksonville, which can be a tough place to play when you go down, especially you're a Pacific Northwest team, where in mid-October, it's cool and damp, and you go down to steamy, hot, muggy Jacksonville. That can be a big transition. Seahawks get a 20-12 win. It's interesting, too, because Seattle's not a national team. They don't have a national fan base. You see the Steelers go on the road, there's going to be a lot of terrible towels in the stands. The Eagles, their fan base travels well. The Cowboys fan base travels well. Seattle's not that team, so it's not like they're going into Jacksonville, which is a place where there are usually some empty seats, and filling it with Seahawks fans. Now, if Seattle can just turn that road success into home success, where in the Mike Macdonald era, they're just 4-8. 4-8 at home, 10-1 on the road. If they can transition into having some home success, then the Seahawks really might have something. Game ball, speaking of road games, to the football fans in London. This is a sympathy game ball we are awarding here to the football fans in London who had to endure Sunday's international game in which the Broncos beat the Jets 13-11. I don't know for a fact how many 13-11 final scores there have been in NFL history. I'm going to guess it's not many. But the football fans in London were subjected to an awful game. Turnovers, penalties, sloppy play. The Jets, this is almost impossible. The Jets attempted 26 passes yesterday. 17 of them were actually thrown. Only 9 of them were completed. On the 9 other dropbacks, Justin Fields was sacked. And when you figure in the sack yardage, the Jets netted on their 26 pass attempts minus 10 yards. That is almost impossible. 26 pass attempts, 26 called dropbacks, minus 10 net yards. And the football fans of London had to endure that. If the NFL is trying to grow its brand internationally, which of course it is, sending the Jets overseas is not a good way to do it. I know they don't want to squander their marquee teams in international games because those marquee teams lose home football games, but you're going to have to send a better product overseas if you want it to stick. All right, game ball. The 2024 bad teams that now actually look pretty good. I mentioned the Carolina Panthers already, who were bad last year, and they look at least respectable. They are not alone. The Indianapolis Colts at 5-1 sit atop the AFC South standings. It still sounds weird for me to say Indianapolis and AFC South. There is nothing Southern about Indiana. Colts are 5-1. The New York Giants, I'm not going to say they're a good team yet, but but they were decidedly a bad team last year. And they got off to a start which suggested they're going to be a bad team again this year, and that maybe Brian Daboll, their head coach, would lose his job. But they have inserted Jackson Dart into the starting lineup. They have gotten a jolt from their bowling ball of a running back, Cam Scatterbo, and they just thumped the Eagles on Thursday Night Football. I mean, that wasn't one of those games where the Eagles played terribly and the scrappy underdog ekes out a win on a late field goal. No, that was a dominant performance by the Giants. The Giants kicked Philly's ass on Thursday night. Brian Daboll was running around hugging people like a guy who just got pulled out of a burning building. You know, like Jackson Dart ran into the burning building, put Brian Daboll on his back, and, you know, backdraft style carried him out of there. Brian Daboll is hugging and kissing everybody in sight because he knows, I think these guys just saved my job. And then the New England Patriots at 4-2 in the thick of things. As I record this on Monday, if Buffalo loses tonight in Monday Night Football, New England, by virtue of their win over Buffalo last week, will be in first place in the North. This is a New England team that already has as many wins this year as it did a year ago. And they remade their roster, brought in a lot of free agents, turned it over to Drake May as quarterback, brought in Mike Vrabel to fix the culture, which clearly seemed broken in New England. And so far, it's working. So game ball to some of the bad teams that are playing good football so far in 2024. And let's finish up this game ball segment, this Monday morning episode, with a game ball to the old man, Aaron Rodgers. Man, Aaron Rodgers is playing some really good football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. On Sunday, he completed 70% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, engineered a couple of long scoring drives in the second half that allowed the Steelers to pull away from the Browns. Pittsburgh is 4-1. They're in first place in the AFC North by a wide margin right now. They have a 3-game lead over the Bengals in the loss column and a 4-game lead over the Browns and Ravens, the 1-5 Ravens. That just sounds weird to say. The Steelers are the only AFC North team to win a football game in the month of October. Nobody else in that division has won a game yet in the month of October. And Rodgers is the catalyst. I mean, the Steelers obviously have some pieces elsewhere, starting to play some really good defense, starting to figure out the run game a little bit. But the quarterback position has been the glaring weakness of that franchise since Ben Roethlisberger retired. And Aaron Rodgers, 10 touchdown passes against only 3 interceptions, number 9 in QBR in the NFL at almost 42 years old. He's playing good football, and he looks like he's enjoying it. He actually looks happy. Looks like he's having fun. So to Steelers fans who have been longing for that franchise quarterback, well, Aaron Rodgers is not the long-term solution, obviously. This is probably a 1-year thing. Maybe he'll come back for one more. This is by no means the long-term solution, but enjoy it. Enjoy it while it's here because it's the best quarterback play Pittsburgh has gotten in many years. All right, that is our Monday morning Game Balls show. So from the junior leagues all the way up to the NFL, really entertaining weekend of football. And there's a couple Monday night games on tonight, so it continues. The best sport on the planet is churning out weekly entertainment for us here, and I'm here for it. All right, so hope you stay safe if you're in the storm zone like I am. To everybody else, enjoy your Monday, and we'll be back on Wednesday for our whiteboard show with Coach Frank Lasasso. Remember, keep it here all week. Follow me on X at KTSmithFFSN. We'll have articles, podcasts, video breakdowns. Tuesdays are All 22 Tuesday segment where we break down film from the various weekends, games. Great stuff going on all over the place here. So keep it with us. Until Wednesday, take care, everybody. Have a great day.